low levels. That's one of the challenges. In fact, they often don't offer enough return to the producer, but it also, by default, ends up making it affordable to a large number of people who otherwise would be, unable to pay urban level prices. So I think that's really not our big challenge right now. But this is also linked to the other question that you asked, which is about organic. You see, organic foods are a niche market in this country, and there are some supply chains which are offering you certification also, but they do not offer the volumes which would incentivize farmers to get into organic production on a large scale. Okay, those value chains exist for small products. Some, organic fruit is coming out of Kashmir or Himachal or Uttarakhand, or some organic pulses or grains are coming out. But we do not have the scale which would enable the farmer to, make this transition from inorganic to organic. And for that, again, as I said, the larger ecosystem and not just one player will have to, get together. I don't believe that even a private sector company or an NGO, lots of small experiments have taken place, and they've remained small experiments. Okay, Godrej got into this, and this nature basket, but it is such a niche segment that it's not going to benefit large numbers of producers. So I don't believe that's something that would solve our nutrition problem. The question on traditional varieties is very interesting, because there is a growing awareness that some of these traditional varieties, for reasons of nutrition which Ms. Khosla was talking about, and for some of the reasons that have come out in the report, might actually be the answer compared to the more modern, let's say, hybrid varieties, which Pavnesh very rightly said, are targeted at preservation, maybe they are targeted at processing. There is already in Delhi, there are these value chains which give you traditional aromatic rice varieties, which most of perhaps the older generation would remember, but today you cannot buy them commercially. Dubraj, Kali Mooj, Kala Namak from Bihar. These were traditional aromatic grains which were completely pushed aside when this whole basmati thing took over. And our research system also, Dr. Joshi will confirm, largely for reasons of food security, which were preeminent, I think, at that time, it focused more on the high-yielding varieties and not on these varieties, which, it's true, are lower in yield, but offer a higher price. But today, on the internet, you can find many of these products being sold. What we don't have is scale, and that's where I think we have, in the agriculture sector, our biggest failing is we've not been able to provide large-scale value chains rivaling what we did in milk. And if some of that could change as the market is today willing to perhaps pay higher prices, we could certainly address these challenges. Thank you.
So can I request Vinay to give something on colors and also the nutrition?
Yeah, the first question was on manufacturing. Yes, we are manufacturing all of the nutrition products in the country. All of the products. Pardon? No, we were doing through franchisee model earlier, but now we have completely our own manufacturing plan. We have started from last year. All our nutrition products are completely made in our own manufacturing facility in Madurai. Madurai. Yeah.
And what are the products which you are still importing?
We are not importing any of nutrition products. We are completely the general. We are some cosmetics products are there. No nutrition. No, all supplements are made in the country only, manufactured in the country.
In fact, I would like to add here, because I happened to visit the Madurai plant, and I must tell you all, whenever you get a chance, you must visit that factory. It is state-of-the-art factory, made in India, all run by Indians, and all local skills engaged to run the plant. It's an enormous kind of a effort which has gone in, and I really congratulate Amway for doing that in India, because
let us
through franchise.
So
basically franchise.
Let us
and
So
how much quality assurance is there, I don't know.
Yeah, we will have bilateral
I
discussion.
don't know how much quality
bilateral
assurance
discussion we'll do later on, or also business discussion later on. So
The second
We can
question
do
is on
at
the
yeah.
taste portion. I agree, ma'am. You are correct that I think we would love to have all the vegetables, all the colors to be taken on a daily basis. But the survey says that people don't take everything. And that's how we try to campaign that at least all the colors you should try to take. And that's the promotion by at least by different colors in a day. You change the colors and the nutrients are added. That's how we try to give the message. I agree that the nutrients, if you would have loved it, in fact, the survey says very well that only 1/5 only we are taking. So that exactly is the reason why we are promoting with the colors. Like example, carrot has got more of beta carotenes. Try to promote that for the health, and that's how we try to build the campaign on. Thanks.
Good, very good. Kohli Saab, Dr. Kohli.
I actually wanted to ask a question, but I'll quickly address. I think Pravesh has answered everything, and I'll only second that because when we talk about rural availability, it's grown by them for their own use. What they grow for the outside market will probably be less organic than what they grow for themselves. So it's not just about being close by, they're growing it themselves for their own food. And a matter of fullness and all is a subjective issue. Actually, if you eat fruits and vegetables, you feel full faster. So you need a balanced diet of everything. In fact, the counter to rural availability and the worry about whether rural India gets the right types of food and nutrients was by the other query which talked about when you said worry more about affluent people who are lacking. So there's always a debate. Yes, the affluent people will tend to be more blasé about their own nutrient and food items and eat anything or what looks fancier. They've got more money to spend and they're not growing their own. So there is that issue, of course.
They are mostly the service sector, which is where they're growing actually. All the money they get, the service sector, which is
Yes.
True.
sedentary,
Absolutely.
and therefore they're dependent of 500 kilometers of non-proximus food.
So true. So the real agenda actually was when we talk about availability is actual physical availability of food. Food security is about not only it being affordable, it also being present close by. Exactly. Hence we come back to the question of logistics and supply chain and more organized. I'm sure Pravesh is going to set up a new example and new things over here. It's great what he's doing. He's actually going to work off street carts and stuff. The desi variety with other varieties and high-yielding varieties, totally with you. Not only is it because they last a little longer, they grow a little faster or they're more acclimatized to our conditions. So it makes so much more sense. More so because producing more means we lose more. I was telling Ms. Ahluwalia earlier that it's not that we lose 30-40% of what we produce. We can only handle 60% of what we produce. Anything else you go on the more productive, high-yield varieties is a loss because your pipeline, your supply chain is no longer able to handle it. We must first start fixing the real problem, going the productivity route and to produce more. Yes, if it's against the market, eventually it is all going to be commerce. So realize we can only handle so much. Definitely support to small farmers. That answer includes the Bundelkhand question. Pravesh also said it is all about getting them to collaborate together. Stop words like contract and so on and so forth, because that means you produce something for a specific purpose and it may not be your phytonutrients. Because minute you become, you bring a person like me, an industrialist in the middle, and I'll want to convert it into a fresh value chain. And I don't care about your phytonutrients, I'm talking directly about commerce. So if you're really interested, the taxpayer, the government is interested, we need to have farm produce being communicated directly to consumers. Pricing and all is not an issue because you have to pay for the logistics cost. It's the change of custody which happens repeatedly in between, which puts up artificial price hikes. Hence what you grow.
Second round.
Yes, sir. Well, one question I wanted to raise of Souvik. I see that you've gone with the figure of 23.6 million tons, 23.6 million population, middle class, which is the new Credit Suisse report. But since I can't quite understand that, India has 250 million tons, 250 million people in the middle class. If you actually factor in World Bank reports, ADB reports, our own reports, if you actually go to credit card people who put in high net, because we're talking about how you spend. The Credit Suisse report which says only 23 million people in the middle class in India, which means Delhi and Ghaziabad.
There must be a reason why the factor is down by 10%.
Not 10%, 10 times.
We have to be very brief and we have to finish by 1:30. they can give more time, otherwise
But
we have to be very, very brief if they have to give opportunity to many people. You would like to quickly answer it quickly, very quickly, bullet.
the data is suspected.
So we'll have to one yes sir view and then to give opportunity to many people. You would like to quickly answer it quickly, very quickly, bullet.
The data is suspected.
So we'll have to one yes sir view and then.
I am KRG Naya. I used to teach business economics in Delhi University and have done a little work on child malnourishment in India. So I came here to learn some policy inferences about removing child malnourishment. I was wondering whether this report has looked at, it is said that breastfeeding for the first 6 months has certainly reduced child malnourishment in India in a big way. Like that, can we draw some single policy inference which will not be hindered by financial constraints by any government, which can benefit the people of India and the future of India, the children of India? Thank you, Mr.
Exim Bank of India. One is to Ishi Khosla. It's an off question. Should one eat fruits before dinner or after dinner, before a meal or after a meal? I never thought about fruits and vegetables so much until I came to this discussion. Second question, sir, is to Mr. Kohli. It's on logistics. I was very intrigued by your example regarding the New Zealand kiwi fruit landing at Chennai and then still being competitive in Delhi or onwards. 35% of fruit and vegetables is grown in the eastern part. How are they not competitive with fruits and vegetables coming from China or from these things? Because they face the same logistics within the country. Is there an aggregation problem somewhere or there's some other issue? I would just want some elaboration on that, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
One minute. Yes, sir.
See, when I saw phytonutrient, I thought we'll be talking about malnutrition. So our first problem is to fight malnutrition. And the question I would address to Dr. Khosla is that we have been working with the marginal farmers for the last 3 years. And we have trained 2,000 beneficiaries. And we have been training them into value-added products. For example, there is a glut of tomatoes. Now the farmers have to sell at the throwaway prices. But they can convert into whole tomato concentrate. They can do it at home. So they can, keep using tomato for 6 months. We have done so question is whether this kind of work that we are doing, that value addition, from the nutrition point of view, is it all right or we are doing something wrong?
Okay, good, very good. And then, yes.
I will make some comments purely on a nutritional standpoint. One is that I was
Only maximum 2.
Okay, 2.
Not many.
So when it comes to vegetable and fruit consumption, as nutritionists, we give guideline that you have to procure 0.5 kg of it per capita. Because considering the edible portion, ultimately the person will only consume 400. So as an economist and as a policy-making person and as an agriculture scientist, we need to keep this in mind that ultimately the consumer will waste, one may say waste or will throw the non-edible portion, and therefore this guideline, when you go to people, you need to keep this in mind that WHO says 400, nutritionists say 500. So there is an issue in that, and I think one should keep it in mind. The second is that we're talking phytochemicals or phytonutrients. That is not synonymous to vegetable and fruit consumption. That is also not synonymous to only fresh. I completely endorse as a nutritionist no processed food as a Brazilian, It's a very good guideline. But this is not the net interpretation of the whole thing, because phytonutrients are present, for example, oryzanol in rice bran oil. For example, phytoflavonoids in green tea. So it requires at certain points certain corrections in mind. Although I think it will be very nice that from this report we ultimately promote fresh vegetables and fruit at all age groups, including small children. A 2-year-old child, I'm just taking a clue from the previous person who asked, just a simple guideline of 10 to 20 milligrams of vitamin C in every diet. And your anemia problem is gone because your net requirement is less than 1 milligram. So there are very important nutrition strategies which should be working in the country. There's no great idea eating 30 milligrams and 20 milligrams of iron, when actually small corrections and good practices can actually alleviate. So yes, there is a good acumen. If you permit me for the third one,
No,
I
sir,
will
next
not
round.
canvas organic because that I think is much hyped.
Okay.
And in the name of organic, we are promoting low-yielding varieties and old agriculture practices. That I think, as a scientist, I don't endorse.
Very good. Good, sir.
Thank you, sir. I was just waiting for the contradiction to show up, because over the whole morning we've noticed just how contradictory is our life, the way we lead it and what we've done on policy. We're saying we're a vegetarian country, but we're killing our fruits and vegetables, and we are mass. Then we're trying to upscale fruits and vegetables, which is very difficult to upscale because those should be proximate to the place where you're living. But my question is, is there any number on what are the loss of phytonutrients per kilometer of transportation? One. And two is, if Mr. Mishra would like to comment, what's wrong with Maggi? Arpita said something wrong with Maggi. What's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong.
Okay.
The certification says it's a perfectly fine product. Okay.
Good.
So you can take both the questions.
There was someone there who was, right. Yeah. Yes.
I have few clarification, not questions.
No, only two.
Okay. There'll be two in number.
Yeah.
The first thing is, we are hearing a lot about phytonutrients. We have heard about antioxidants also, and the vitamins and the minerals. Are they one and the same thing? I want to have the information about, or they are interrelated, or are they different? Number one. Number two is, what is the effect of fertilizer, chemical fertilizer and insecticides on the quality of the food material? Because if we do not use this, we'll lose the yield, and other thing, the crop will be eaten by the insecticides. So can we strike a balance between the two? And in the same context, we have heard about genetically modified foods, also GM foods. So what is exactly that, and what is the effect on these nutritional values? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we will have, this round is also over. I'll request panelists to, there are three loss of nutrition. So broadly, these are the certificates. So panelists who will talk on these. Very briefly, Khosla Sahab, you will like to say something? Briefly, very briefly. Ek do bullet.
I'll just talk on the northeast question, jo pucha, jo mere matlab ka, then we can.
Okay.
Nahi to bola.
Madam, you would
The
like
northeastern region, the kiwi comes from New Zealand and everywhere else, it doesn't come from there. There are various issues, some of them are to do with policy, some with the basal infrastructure. Even the railway has reached Itanagar just a few months ago. And the railway has only 9 parcel vans which are refrigerated, and they use only 1, and they haven't even connected on that. Our road structure is not suitable there. While we adopt technologies from outside and we want 30 feet long 20-ton trucks, in the northeast you can barely manage 6 to 8-ton vehicles. The government policies earlier, like I said, they did not understand what was needed to move fruit and vegetables. Somebody just said proximus growth. No, the whole idea of supply chain is to break these geographical barriers, for which there are certain tools required. The policies have come about for it, and you will see a lot more happening from the northeast. I just want to mention one more thing. This report or the phytonutrient thing is not about all food intake. It doesn't mean this is all you do, so it doesn't ignore the other aspects that you need to bring in. And farmers do not grow things for your reason, for to make you healthy, to be for your phytonutrient values. They do it, and they're not productive because we want them to be. They have to get commercial value out of it. So we have to incentivize them, which means, one, you have to buy their produce. Two, we have to ensure that they have logistics. Then all other productivity and values and other systems can come about. Thanks.
So you want to say
quickly?
very,
You want to say something?
very briefly.
Yeah, okay, very quickly. There was a distinction between vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and phytonutrients. That was the question. Well, vitamins are by the name vital. They are essential for life, vitamins and minerals. And there are certain vitamins and minerals which have an antioxidant role to play as well. These are vitamin A, C, E, zinc, and selenium. They have antioxidant benefits in addition to their being important for life. And phytonutrients are not vital for life, but yet they have disease-fighting benefits. So I hope that's clear.
Good, very good.
Yeah.
So
Briefly.
coming to the issue of certification and why you like Maggie, we all like Maggie, why it has happened. You see, so, Acha, okay, then I got a wrong impression that you like it. Okay. The point is, whenever you are talking about healthy food or food safety, traceability is a very important factor. Yes. And what we need to understand is, we need to know where the product was made and how the standards were followed. So every state government, the regulator, interprets the standards in their own manner. They have their own kind of laboratories to test it, but the outcome of it may vary. So what we like to know as Indian consumers is, from which factory my Maggi came, when it was manufactured, and what standard it followed. I am not interested about what was the Maggi standard in UK or what was it in Australia or any other part of the world. I want to know in India that from which factory I got my Maggi, because you have got 20 factories and 20 factories are manufacturing in their own standards in whatever way they want to in terms of the importing country. So my contention is, we have to ensure that our standards are followed, certified, and regulated in a manner which is in our interest, and we get safe product.
No, you're saying multinationals are manufacturing different.
That's all.
They have different.
They are manufacturing as per the needs of the importing country.
I think we are deviating. We are going to Maggi. We are going to Maggi discussion.
Yeah.
So this is for fruits and vegetables. So we can put some fruits and vegetables on Maggi.
I only want to stress one point which has come out also on the study, is the factor of traceability.
Good, very good. Briefly.
I just wanted to come back to what I said before, the awareness part. So one thing is that the media, which is very effective in our country, can be effective in creating this awareness that we lack in both these segments that I spoke about. And also one more thing is that many of us, in fact, I didn't know before I started doing the study that the WHO recommendation also has one more thing, is that there are 4 or 5 categories of fruits and vegetables, okay? And in each category, there are different varieties of fruits and vegetables. So affordability in that sense is not a big factor, okay? So you can have a mix of these things and cover your recommended levels, okay? But we are not aware of that, okay? So that is one point just I wanted to say before completing. Thank you.
So good, thank you very much. I think we do not have time. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. We have already stretched our time. But briefly, I will mention that this was really a very interesting panel discussion. Many important issues came up. So one very issue I would like to flag is in fruits and vegetable issue is the aggregation. One of the problems is aggregation, which adding cost to the whole chain. And aggregation is largely because we have large number of small and marginal farmers. And our traditional varieties, what we were talking, are determinate type, indeterminate type. They are maturing, they are giving fruits of these vegetables in a period of 1 or 2 months. Whenever there will be mechanization, you want that everything to be harvested once. So the type of varieties are also changed with the mechanization. So there is a new concept coming up, like this for aggregation, the cooperatives. We can learn lesson from the milk sector, as was mentioned. Cooperatives are very successful. Aggregation, how we are aggregating commodities. Second is contract farming. Cluster farming in Chhattisgarh has shown cluster farming, showing one crop, one village kind of concept which is coming up. Also, the farmer-producer organization. I see hope in the farmer-producer organization. They bring revolution in this component. So, how to reduce problem of aggregation? We have the new institutional arrangement. We need to incentivize. The second is our retail sector. Unless we correct the retail sector, because retail is unorganized. Unless we have the retail organized, whatever reform we do in marketing are not going to happen. So we need to see how we can correct our retail sector so that this become more organized. And then third is the awareness among consumers for these fruits and vegetables. They are going, many times they are substituting, particularly the low-income groups. We have done a study, the substitution from dal to fruits and to the vegetables. So there is a strong substitution effect between dal and the vegetables. Between dal, there is no substitution. But between dal and vegetables, there is a strong substitution when prices are rising. So awareness among consumers for these these fruits and vegetables, for micronutrients, minerals, vitamins. So have a healthy, take fruits and be healthy. So with this, I conclude, and thanks to the organizers for giving this opportunity. Thanks to the panelists, wonderful panel. Lots of good thoughts and excellent comments came from all of you. I'm sorry those who could not get opportunity because of time constraint. You can discuss during the lunch break.
Dr.
Thank
Joshi,
you very much.
I'm very tempted to comment on this concept of vegetarianism. That we need to define who is a vegetarian.
Yeah.
A vegetarian in Indian context is a vegetarian buffet, which is aloo, dal, paneer, chana, chola. That's a vegetarian. It doesn't talk about vegetables really. What we really need to do is to talk about vegetables and fruits.
Okay.
There's a gap in the GAN community.
That's
please,
right.
we
Thank
can
you.
discuss during
Thank you very much.
lunchtime. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll just
He will give a brief
5 minutes. I'll take 5 minutes of your time.
Vote of thanks.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Joshi. On behalf of ICRIER, I would like to thank all the speakers and panelists today. The discussions were extremely enriching, and I'm certain that they will add value to any future research on the topic. I'm absolutely grateful to all the dignitaries who joined us today and exchanged their ideas and views either from the dais or from among the audience. I thank all the participants for a patient listening. As authors of this report, we would like to thank Amway Opportunity Foundation for sponsoring this study.
Okay.
We are extremely grateful to our director, Dr. Kathuria, for giving us an opportunity to work on this area. Our team of young researchers, Souvik, Avantika and Bhavuk, they've helped us during the course of this study and also organizing the event. And very special thanks are due to our administrative team at ICRIER, Mr. Manmeet Ahuja and his team, who are present here in our support. They deserve a very special thank you from all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I now invite you to join us for lunch.
Very good.
I would like to thank you, Rajat, for providing a